Yo, you are now tuned in to Options Game Radio Episode 1. Shouts out to the Options Game. Shouts out to everybody actively participating in put season right now. For those of you who aren't familiar with put season, you know what I'm saying? Put season is a special holiday season for Options Game where, you know, we switch our gears and, you know, we start shorting everything and anything in the market, looking for weak companies, hitting them up for gains. You know, the last 2 weeks, you know, although it's, you know, terrible for the U.S. economy and it's been terrible for a lot of people in the world, these last 2 weeks have been actually amazing for Options Gang. So, you know, we wanted to do something special, and, you know, for a lot of people who may not be blessed enough to be in the Options Gang, what we're going to do today is we got a special guest by the name of Tyrone Ross, and he's a financial advisor, and we're going to call him to pick his brain, see what he's up to, see what type of advice he has for people who are, you know, currently in the market, going through a lot of turmoil and stress. A lot of people got their 401ks tied up, you know what I'm saying, in the market. Just to give you a quick recap right now, it's Sunday night around 9:30. You know, I just came home not too long ago from the hospital, you know what I'm saying, with my new son. So, you know, this is my first post-fatherhood episode with you guys. But, you know, just to quickly catch up to the market, we had futures get halted. U.S. futures for Monday morning, going into Monday morning, have been halted 5 minutes after trading opened. And for people who aren't really sure what that means, all of these different markets have these circuit breakers in place in order to prevent like massive, you know, huge sell-offs. So for the futures market, that circuit breaker point where they stop trading is at 5%, and they hit it like 5 minutes into the market. Rolling into the Asian markets now, which are also getting killed. They're all down. For those of you who don't know, markets in Asia, basically all the markets east of United States and Europe have already started trading, and things aren't looking good. Things are definitely not looking good for the market open. So, you know, without further ado, we don't have too much time with the good brother Tyrone Ross. So what we're going to do is we're going to give him a call right now, and then we'll talk to him, pick his brain, see what he thinks about this upcoming week. I know things are super busy for him because this is just a crazy week for everyone. So we're going to give the good brother Tyrone Ross a call and see what type of gems he got for us. Yo, Ty, what's good?
What's good, okay?
Ain't nothing, chilling, man. Yo, you live, man, on Options Gang Radio, Episode 1. I mean, we did an episode already, but that was Episode 0. That was like the test run. This is the first, you're the first official Options Gang Radio guest.
Okay. I appreciate that.
No
Let's
doubt.
make it big, then. Let's do it.
Yeah, so Ty, listen, man. I mean, as you and I both know right now, man, markets, and it's not looking pretty for Monday's open in the markets right now.
Yeah.
You as a financial advisor, you know, me, I'm a trader, so we're always changing our positions on a daily basis. But as someone in a financial advisement position, you're most of the time giving clients a lot of long-term advice. And, you know, a lot of sit and hold positions, et cetera, et cetera. I'm pretty sure your phone has probably been blowing up the last 2 weeks with all this turmoil in the market. How are you putting your clients at ease in the current climate that we are in today?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. And I'm glad you make that distinction, too, because, again, I have a profound respect for what you do. And obviously, on the other side, I feel like you do what I do as well. But we need the middle to do this. So I think for me, yes, it's been super busy, but what I've been telling clients all along the way, if you look at the last 10 years the market has done, I kind of work with them to take profits along the way, make sure that they're, you know, the different buckets that they have is you know, full, right, or attempting to be full, whether that's savings, whether that's, you know, 5.9 accounts, retirement, whatever it is, right, liquid savings. So, yeah, It's been busy for the last 2 weeks. And to be honest, with my clients, they're younger. And again, they've had a plan, so it really hasn't been much panic. It's just been about, all right, well, how do we capitalize on this, right? Refinancing. Again, the market is down 30% or so, a little bit more now from the highs. So again, if you look at that respective of what it's done over the last 10 years, it's not a lot. I feel like we got a lot more to go. So some of them are like, all right, do we start to add, a little more of the equity here? And kind of get it since they've been working with me. So really hasn't been too much panic. It's just been very busy having conversations. All right, well, how do we capitalize on this, right? Because right now, if you are young, right, if you are under, hell, I would even go under 50, but if you are under 40, the move that you make right now is going to determine what your net worth is in 10 years.
No,
So,
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, that's hands down.
yeah, yeah. So we just been kind of, looking at ways to capitalize on what's come down, different sectors, different markets. Again, as you know, a lot of my clients own crypto, so there's been most of the conversation there. But as far as traditional markets go, it's again capitalizing on the fall of the dominoes, right? And then looking at, all right, if they were long equities, how do you continue to accumulate in size, right? Wealth is made of concentration and it preserves the diversification. So right now, it's getting to accumulate positions where 5, 10 years from now they'll be set up, from a wealth generation standpoint, not really from, just again like a short term trading standpoint.
Well, and one of the things that we always connected about, and one of the real things that I love about you and appreciate about you, you always been about putting people on who aren't traditionally from these walks of life into the financial markets, educating them. So now, what do you say to the person that is not necessarily one of your clients already? So they weren't prepared for this situation, but they aren't necessarily investors anyway now. But if someone is recommending that they get into the market or they begin their investment journey or begin financial planning, et cetera, but then that person goes, why would I invest? You see, look what has been happening in the stock market the last 2 weeks. What would you say to that type of person who hasn't been in the game at all in any capacity, but is completely discouraged by what they've seen in the last couple of weeks that's taking place in the market?
Right. So I've had a couple of those conversations too. I've had a couple of former teammates. I've had family, friends that have reached out and was like, all right, now do I start investing? Like, what do I do? So, and I did a live about that, and I was actually excited about that. That's why, the market downturn has excited me in that sense, is that people now are kind of like, all right, what do I do, if anything at all? Is it time to start looking at stocks? Should I start investing or whatever? So a couple of things. This is not a normal environment. We are headed for an economic collapse that is going to be the likes of which the world has never seen. It's going to get ugly. So the first thing I'm telling people is, one, just make sure that you have enough to live off of, right? Like, make sure you're raising cash if you have capital, because it is going to get dark, very dark.
I've been telling a lot of people, I'm glad that you're reiterating this point. A lot of people think the ramifications have already been calculated. Like, some of these ramifications you can't even quantify until maybe 2-3 months down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Bullard, right? Bullard come out today. The Fed chair from St. Louis came out today and said employment could probably reach 30%. That's insane, right? Goldman is predicting when the job numbers come out again, there'll be 3 million people out of work. Like, the economic ramifications of this is, you're talking, people that I respect, people that I know personally, people that I follow online, like really highly respected people, smart, are saying like this could be like depression type stuff going on here. Like, because there's just so much uncertainty. You talk about the economic standpoint, the medical standpoint, supply chain standpoint, global macro, it's crazy. So I think right now, whether it's family, friends, or clients, like, let's just make sure you have enough living expenses, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, depending on your personal situation. Are you single? Do you have children? Do you have multiple children? Whatever the case may be, right? So, it's really important that people are understanding that. This is different from 08, 09, because this is, you're talking everything collapses, right? And the effect of which no one can sit and calculate. But when the next step is, okay, well, fine, if you are in a position economically, you want to put some money to work. The next thing is, okay, where and why, right? And then we'll deal with the how much later. But, okay, stock market, okay, great. Educate yourself on some of the things that you feel like you want to put your money to work. Is that some of the products that you use? Is that, an industry that you work in where you see some promise? Is it just, a book that you read, whatever the case may be? And then that's the next step, right? Like reading, educating yourself, and then having questions to go to a financial professional and say, hey, I got $1,000, I got $100, whatever, or I have 10,000, a million, and I'm looking to put the money to work here. And I think right now, the only way to dollar cost average, you have a long term perspective where you say, all right, I'm just going to put X amount of money in per week, just let it go, right? And again, that's my angle. Your angle right now, if there are some people who feel like what I love about what you do is because again, people trade and they do all types of stuff, but even if you're trading, you need to learn. You need to understand what's going on. So you provide that holistic education. And if people just say, okay, well, I've never invested before, I'm not really impacted. I kind of want to trade or I kind of want to play options or whatever it is they want to do. All right, cool. Get educated, right? What you learn, follow the path and the blueprint and do that. But right now, I'm telling people, I don't care who it is. Let's not talk about investments right now. Let's make sure you're going to have enough capital to live off of over the next 6 months, figure out what the next 12, 18 months look like, and then go from there, right? And then those people that do have a Christian choice, right? They're buying. Listen, and I want to be very clear, and you have proof, so you know that I'm not making up what I'm about to say. There are fortunes being made right
No,
now, right? Like
absolutely,
I got a DM, but
absolutely.
there are fortunes being made. People are really changing their lives based on what happens here. Very select few, but the point is, again, the education that comes with networking, knowing the right people, how to, and again, people think education is simply reading a book or whatever. That's great. So you also need to get somebody on the phone to be like, is this it? Where, when, how, and they point you to the right, tell you what to do. And then the next thing you know, you're benefiting from that. But again, it goes back to my original point, right? He who has the old saying is he who has the gold makes the rules, but switch out gold for cash now, right? If you have cash, cash is king. You can do whatever you want because you have the liquidity. So the main thing is, again, making sure you can live. And then if there's a little bit of a buffer there and you want to start to put money to work, figure out, okay, is it stocks, is it bonds, is it crypto, whatever it is. Okay, great. I want to invest in stocks. Great. Okay, is it Robinhood, is it Betterment, is it Wealth Fund, is it Dash, is it whatever, Acorn, great. Okay, and is it a particular sector or is it market? If you're young, you should be looking at international markets, hard stocks, all these different things. And then, okay, is there an amount? And you figure out the amount, and then, if you can automate it, you put a little bit of to work, and you just let it go. And you got to look at this, long term for the most part, because again, we don't know where the bottom is. We don't know any of that. Now, like again, and I've seen what you've been doing. Just to go back to that again, it's like profiting from the market coming down, right? Yeah, someone can learn and probably start a position now and, the next 20% down or whatever. But again, that's a matter of perspective. It's a matter of your age, your goals, all that other stuff. And that's what I always tell people. Like I've done a lot of these interviews the last couple of days. And the one thing is like, listen, whether it's me, Susie Orman, you, Jim Kramer, Jack Brown, whoever it is, don't take what we say and just go do it because we don't know your personal financial situation. You can take some of it, but we can't speak directly to who you are, what it is your situation is. It's just broad advice, but I can't give anybody really good financial information unless I know your personal financial situation and say, okay, you make this much, you invested this much, you live here, you live there, right? Perfect example is like estate planning. All right, fine. You want to do financial planning with somebody. It's like, okay, well, estate planning looks different in New Jersey than it does in Alabama. You know